Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the invitation. It is a great honor for me to be, as it were, a recurrent visitor, guest of Fudan University. I gave a lecture even during the pandemic on Rousseau. It was online. It was given online when it was not possible to come here personally. So it's a great honor, and again I can speak about Spinoza. I can speak about Spinoza. It has also something to do with the seminar I taught several years ago. So it was a seminar on time and eternity in Spinoza. This topic, this news from the written ethics back to Spinoza's unwritten philosophy, is also some sort of consequence of my thought that I made use of during that seminar. In fact, the paper has, or the lecture has, this little bit surprising title, because the basic text of it was published in the very first issue of Journal of Spinoza Studies. I was invited to contribute to this first issue, and the general title, or not the title, but the concept was to talk about the avenues, not the methods. Yeah, the methods in Greek is the way, or the avenues. So how we think about the future of Spinoza scholarship, what topics in which directions are to be researched. And that's why I gave this title to the presentation. It is I thought it won't be a talk for Spinoza scholars. So I mentioned some basic pieces of information about Spinoza, or the works I will cite here. So most of the quotations will be from these three that I emphasized here: the treatise on the improvement of the intellect, the ethics, and the theological political treatise. And let us start now. In the title we have this strange expression: philosophy with or without quotation marks. The reason behind this is that I will, on the one hand, I will try to understand why Spinoza refers to my philosophy twice in this unfinished treatise on the improvement of the intellect. What he could have understood by mentioning philosophy, or my philosophy. This will be something like a philological question, and the philological research we are going to do now. And afterwards, I will try to deepen the analysis. And I will look for a deeper understanding of philosophy in Spinoza's work, and I think that will be the end of my my paper or my lecture here. The paper itself is longer. It has some other ramifications of my basic idea on Spinoza's system or Spinoza's philosophy, but I think for now it will be enough to talk about these two basic topics because I have now I have even more ideas than I had when I wrote the paper. Yes. So there is these two places, two passages where Spinoza refers to his philosophy, which he never wrote and published, in fact, in such a work, philosophy. And that's why I asked, what does philosophy mean in this period of philosophy in the 17th century, in the middle and the second, third of the 17th century, and what may Spinoza have had in mind when promising a work titled, even if provisionally, as philosophy. Yeah, it is almost trivial to try to find a solution, an answer to this question, looking at Descartes' understanding of philosophy. And I think it is the most important passage where Descartes reports on his general idea of philosophy, what philosophy is, what are the tasks of philosophy. This is, as you can see, a passage from the preface to the French edition, French translation of the Principles of Philosophy, a preface in the form of a letter written to a so-called to the translator of the work, Picot, Abbé Picot was his name. So as you can see, Descartes uses a metaphor of the tree, an organic. So it is not a building. So Descartes' usual metaphor of philosophy is the building, and you need a firm foundation. These are the most known lines Descartes wrote about philosophy. But a house is not an organic structure, and for me it is more important to have this analogy, because the tree is an organic being, and that means that what we have in the roots, we will also have in the fruits. I mean. So there is some continuity between those disciplines that function as the roots and those that function as the fruit of the tree. So the roots. So it's a complete system. So consisting of the basic disciplines of philosophy in that time. So I mean, today we wouldn't certainly consider as parts of philosophy physics, mechanics, medicine, but at that time it was a commonplace. We didn't have, or they didn't have, separated branches of sciences, natural sciences, and philosophy. Philosophy was all that human beings were able to understand, and that's why the roots or the basement of philosophy is metaphysics, the trunk is physics, and the branches are medicine, mechanics, and morals, where morals he understands a moral system, a perfect that is also complete moral system, complete because already the whole tree, the whole philosophy is presupposed in the concept of this perfect moral system. So there is no ethics without metaphysics, physics, medicine, mechanics, and morals. And I emphasize this word mechanics because the whole philosophy is in this period based on the science of the newly developed science of mechanics, and that's why we quite often talk about mechanical philosophy or the system of mechanical philosophy, meaning this word can mean several things. One of the most important is that the philosophers at that time were looking at the universe as a huge machine, and so the word mechanics has etymological connections to the machine, to the constructions that facilitate our work when we want to lift bigger and heavier items. So this is the most known meaning of mechanics in philosophy. And of course also the human being is considered as a machine or as a mechanical construction, as an automata, which is also a widely used metaphor for beings and also human being. Yes, so this is the plan of a system in the sense of Descartes. So starting with metaphysics at the bottom level and ending with ethics at the top level. So to speak, a unilinear development of philosophy from the metaphysics to the ethics, and no way back from the ethics to the metaphysics. And that was only a so to speak a formal presentation of the system of philosophy, because he didn't say a word about the content of metaphysics, physics, etc. And this other passage from another work of Descartes, the Discourse on Method. This is a famous preface or introduction to those studies of Descartes that we would consider now as belonging to natural sciences and mathematics. So geometry, optics, and the phenomenon in the air, like the rainbow. So the explanation of those phenomena, and the Discourse on Method is the introduction to these three essays, as Descartes calls them. Now, and what does he say in part 5 of this discourse? At the very beginning, comprising somehow his whole project. First of all, he starts with God, which is not surprising, since the metaphysics is a discipline which is about God as the highest being. So he starts with God, and he starts with the concept of a lawgiver, God as a lawgiver. But this time, God is not a lawgiver for a people, say, Jewish people or for whole humanities, but God as the lawgiver of nature. So these are the natural laws, Descartes says, were given and established in nature by God. So this is the starting point in metaphysics. So the laws established in nature, and then the other passage emphasized by me is the consequences of this establishing act of God. So it could be translated in the usual Christian language as creation. So God created the world, which means for Descartes, established laws in nature, and then his philosophy can be considered as reconstructing the way God established those laws in nature, and then considering the consequences of this act of creation, act of establishing laws in nature. We'll come back to this passage, emphasizing other parts of the text. So this is the whole idea. I mean, this is an infinite task. As you know, it must be an infinite task for a philosophy to show God as creator, and then all the consequences. That is all the phenomena of the world, of the universe, because all phenomena are consequences of this first creative act of God. So it would be an infinite task to consider what follows from these laws. And that's why already in this very passage Descartes delimits the scope of this project using another metaphor, the metaphor of the painters. Now the philosopher is like a painter, so the painter and the philosopher cannot just show everything that belongs to the topic, to the subject or the object to be painted or to be constructed philosophically, but they both have to choose only one principal side or perspectives, and then and both had to undertake only this one perspective, or to show the object from this perspective. And so the perspective, the leading perspective for Descartes was the conception of light. And here you have the explanation what Descartes understands by the perspective of light. And what is interesting for us now is the last part of the complex sentence, that he is going to talk about man too and human being too, but only as the spectator of all this, only as the spectator of how light originates in the sun, comes through to the terrestrial bodies, and then to his eyes, to her eyes, as the receiving organ of the light. So human being is considered as embedded in nature, embedded in the bodily nature, in corporeal nature. This is what I found interesting. That's why I emphasize this last part of the passage, which means that that this is not yet the ethics. So we have the human being here, but not from the ethical point of view. It is from a natural philosophical point of view that comes in the system of Descartes with this quotation. And now, so let's have a look at Spinoza and Spinoza's ethics. How his project relates to Descartes' project. So, as we know, he has never published a work titled Philosophy. He published an Ethics. That means that, as we saw in the earlier passage, that Descartes projected a system with ethics at the top of it, but in his realized works, he considered the human being only from the perspective of the natural sciences. So he couldn't realize this whole system with the ethics on the top of it. And so we can simply say that Spinoza, first of all, wanted to complete the system in the sense that he thought it more important to show human beings the way to happiness, the way to beatitude, and that's why he concentrated from the very beginning on the ethics, not philosophy as a whole. And so here we have this. The yellows are always my insertions. So the natural continuation of this table of contents, so to speak, after God would certainly be nature, simply nature. So the second would have been of nature after of God as the first part. The second would have been of nature if Spinoza would have wished to develop a complete system of philosophy. So instead of nature, we have of the nature and origin of the mind. So the limits, the scope of the philosophy project already at the beginning to the mind. If this is a human mind or not, it is not clear from this first passage, but mostly it is the human mind. And then he continues along these lines. So he writes about the effects, which means roughly like emotions, and then the dominance of the emotions, of the effects over reason and intellect, and then the power of the intellect or of human freedom. I'm sorry, I put too many text passages to this slide. Of human freedom. Yeah, this is the last word of the title of part 5 of the ethics. And it is not a surprise that the very short preface to part 2 of the ethics, Spinoza explains that his project is not the complete philosophy, but his project is limited to those questions belong to the ethics taken in a rather Stoic sense, as you saw already from the titles of part 4 and 5. These are the commonplaces of Stoic philosophy. So it's yeah. So again, the whole project, like in Descartes, explaining those things which must necessarily follow from the essence of God, or like in the earlier quotation, the establishing the laws and then considering the consequences, what follows from this act. So this is what Spinoza saw at the horizon somewhere. This general topic, this general project, but the passage emphasized by me says that it is impossible to treat all of them because infinitely many things must follow from it in infinitely many ways. So that's the same what I mentioned when looking at Descartes' text, that it would be an infinite task to consider all the consequences of the creative act in Descartes, and it is very important to see this word necessarily follow from. So it is not the creation. Spinoza does not speak about creation of God. Descartes would have said which must follow, which must be taken as created by God. Yeah, so somehow this is what Descartes would have or should have said, instead of necessarily follow from the essence of God. Yeah, because if something necessarily follows from the essence of something, this is not the free, arbitrary act of that something. So that means what necessarily follows from the essence of God is not the consequence of his free, arbitrary, voluntary act of creation. But for Spinoza, this is the right word, follow from the essence of God, not creating, not following from the creation of God. Yes, so this is the project, the complete project, and the delimitation that we saw in Descartes. So in this sense, we can say that Spinoza follows with some rather minor modifications Descartes' project, because it is not a real modification that he wanted to come to the end. I mean, to the ethics part. So it is not a real essential modification. It is a more important modification, of course, but we come back to it later. So there is another way of comparing Descartes' idea of philosophy and Spinoza's idea of philosophy to each other. I mean, I put this text, these three text passages in the slides because I found it interesting to show that as far as this very well known character of Spinoza's system is concerned, the parallelity or the identity of body and mind, at least some kind of such concept of parallelity of body and mind can be found in Descartes as well. And now we have the same text what we had in another context earlier, but now I emphasize with red what I would like to call your attention now, that when Descartes talks about God establishing laws in nature, then he understands by nature rather the corporeal nature, so rather the laws for the movement of the bodies. And so the one side of the creative act of God is establishing laws in the corporeal nature, in the bodies, and the other side is to imprint notions of those laws in our minds. So on the one hand, God creates the bodies, the bodily universe, and the laws that guides, commands the movement of the bodies, and at the same time he imprints the notions of these laws into or in our souls. Yeah, of course, this is the well-known idea of the innate ideas, what Descartes hints at in this passage. But the main thing from our today point of view is that there is this parallelity between the bodily procedure and the mental procedure when God establishes the laws of nature. And then these well-known passages from Spinoza where he emphasizes this parallelity, or we can say even identity, in a sense of ideas, and those things, they are the ideas of. So the famous the order and connection of ideas is the same as the order and connection of things, where things, it is of course it is not easy to understand why Spinoza talks about here res, the Latin res is the English thing. Why not bodies? But from the context, it is clear, or I think it is clear, that things, just like nature in the quotation of Descartes here, the things stand for the bodies. So the order and connection of ideas is the same as the order and connection of bodies, so to speak. And again, these pairs, ideas, things, formally, objectively, these refer to this body-mind duality in Spinoza. So in this sense also, Spinoza follows Descartes, even if in Descartes it is not so well developed than in Spinoza. And it is again the famous passage introducing the small body of physics, the initiative of physical theory within part 2 of the Ethics, where he emphasizes very much that the body and the mind are two perfectly parallel or even identical realities. Yeah, so and that is why he says it is necessary to know enough about bodies in order to understand, to better understand the mind, if we want to guide the reader, or if he wants to guide the reader to the beatitude, to the happiness, to a sort of philosophical happiness. Yeah, and now we come to the second part, to the deeper layer, where we won't understand philosophy in this philological sense we have taken until now, but what would it mean? So philosophy will mean, in this context, rather the basic concept of reality behind the work which is titled ethics. Yeah, so philosophy does not mean, in this sense, the whole body of a science, of a discipline, but rather the mindset, yeah, I would say, the mindset of Spinoza, how he understands reality, which is something that he didn't really unfold in the work titled Ethics. Yes, so it is the background, so to speak. Philosophy means here the background of the work, which has the title Ethics. And then I would like to argue that this philosophy, this deeper sense of philosophy, consists in the idea of a metaphysical circle. You certainly know this expression, the hermeneutical circle. And in the analogy of the hermeneutical circle, I have chosen this expression, metaphysical circle, which means precisely that beginning and end refer to each other, and so that there is an even more profound layer of reference at the same time. So the beginning and end refer to each other, and the basis of this mutual referencing is that there is something behind. There is something behind the beginning and the end, and so that is what I would like to show you. What is this something behind the beginning and the end? Sorry, it's a little bit speculative, so, but I hope it will be not too speculative. So what is the beginning and what is the end of the ethics? The beginning is quite easy to find. The first sentence, the first definition. Definition 1 is the definition of cause of itself. Yes, cause of itself, which is what later definitions call substance, and then later God. The first definition refers to the act of God as causing itself. The act of God by which he is cause of itself, he causes itself. So this is a metaphysical, this is a highly metaphysical, speculative beginning, because cause of itself, causa sui, is a traditional, in fact it is a traditional scholastic concept, causa sui, but the scholastics used this expression mostly to refuse it, to refuse the possibility of something being the cause of itself, because their starting point was that to be a cause must be must mean that it precedes what is the effect of that cause. So to be a cause of some effect must mean that the cause precedes the effect, and in this sense, it is logically impossible for something to cause itself, because then this something would have to precede itself, which is absurdity. Yeah, of course. But again, I don't show that passage. But again, Descartes already uses this expression, causa sui, cause it itself, or esse, esse, which is the same, in a similar sense. So Descartes already argues that it is not a logical absurdity at all, because if we consider the omnipotency of God, then we must understand the omnipotency of God precisely in this sense, that by way of the power, by way of the power to exist, God is the cause of itself. Not only that there is no cause of its being, but more than this, that he is, by way of his infinite power, the positive cause of itself. This is in the first set of reply. I mean, it is in the first the replies to the first set of objections to the meditations of first philosophy that Descartes talks about it. And so in this sense, Spinoza reuses this, but of course in a deeper sense and more developed way than Descartes did. And again, the parallelity, there is here also a sort of parallelity characteristic of Spinoza, that the being and then the being conceived, so conceivability, are parallels. So in God's case, he is the cause of itself, the cause of its own being, but at the same time, he is the basis of its conceivability, and it is in the other definitions, in the definitions of the finite modes, for example, this parallelity remains. These are their existence depends on God, so they have their existence from God, from something else, and they cannot be conceived but by this something from which they receive their existence. But it is not our topic now. What I would like to focus now is the parallelity on the one hand, but of the beginning and the end, but also that more than parallelity, because the ending becomes on a higher level than the beginning, because the beginning is a self-referential act, so to speak. So God causes itself eternally. Of course, it's not at a point in time that God causes itself. It is an eternal act of God. So this is a self-referential act, so to speak. And the other self-referential act, almost in the end of part 5, proposition 35, God, it is surprising. God loves himself. Yeah, it's not a usual metaphysical concept. A God that not only causes itself, and of course it is the English translation that puts the genders in it. So, but it is not the essential point. So it's not only causes. God not only causes itself in a metaphysical, in a really metaphysical act, but also loves himself or itself, whichever you prefer, which is not a real, not a usual metaphysical act, and especially not in this mechanical philosophy. We are in the context of mechanical philosophy that considers the universe as a machine, as a complex, very complex machine, but where to put love in this mechanical picture of the universe. And God is the cause of the whole universe, and so we now learn that God, the main reason of the universe, loves itself. Yes, so and that's why I say that it is on a higher level. On the basic level is this very metaphysical act of causing itself, and on the higher level we have this other self-referential act. God loves itself. And you can see that there is a feedback, a sort of feedback here in the end of the whole ethics, because in the demonstration. So this is the demonstration of the proposition 35. God is absolutely infinite. That is, the nature of God enjoys infinite perfection, accompanied by the idea of himself, and this I.E. refers to this himself. So as what Spinoza takes God into consideration. So as himself, i.e. that is idea of his cause. Yeah, so the himself is the cause of itself concept of God. Yeah, so God as the cause of itself loves itself at the same time. Yeah, so this is the higher level feedback, and again loves himself, and then this love is of course an infinite love, and so we have all sorts of important and interesting points here. So the intellectual love. So first of all, that this love has its source in the intellect. Yeah. So this is already an important point. And again, the mind's intellectual love of God is the very love of God by which God loves himself. So here is the reason why I added at the beginning that it is not absolutely clear that the mind in the title of the second part of the book means simply the human mind as we know the human beings as finite beings, because here we have that the mind's intellectual love of God is the very love of God by which God loves himself. So the two types of genitives, they are connected and identified here. The mind's intellectual love toward God is the same, is the very love of God toward itself or himself or herself. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So this is the beginning, the metaphysical circle. What I would like to call the metaphysical circle. That at the end we come back in a sense to the beginning, or we can say that it's a metaphysical spiral. So because we come to a higher point when we come back to the beginning. So in this sense, one can say that too. And what I would like to stress, especially as the essential difference between Descartes and Descartes' metaphysical, mechanical concept of God and the relation of God and the universe, is that in God it is hardly imaginable that he would talk about this kind of intellectual love of God, where God's loving himself would be identified with the human being's love toward God. Descartes does talk about love, does talk about love of God, but not in this speculative metaphysical sense that the human being's love of God would be the same as God's own love toward himself. Because for Descartes, God is of course a himself, not an itself. That for Descartes, God is a personal being, whereas for Spinoza, it is hardly a personal being, rather an impersonal principle of the universe and of itself and the universe. And of course, it is, which is interesting. So you certainly know this famous idea, Spinozistic idea of pantheism, or the interpretational means to call the Spinoza system pantheism, from pan, from Greek word pan, and theos, God, meaning that everything is more than connected to God. So it is, in a sense, they are identical, which is not the most appropriate expression, but now it is not the topic of the lecture. But what I would like to show now is that this metaphysical circle or spiral or whatever can not only be seen on the level of the mind, of the eternal part of the mind, but also and God, but also on the level of the finite beings, and precisely because as they have their being from God, from another, depending from this other, as I emphasized when talking about the first definition. But their conceivability, depends also on God. So, so because no finite being can be conceived without a reference to God. What this reference is, for example, it is a very characteristic passage from Ethics Part 2, saying that the human mind is indeed in God, you see, in God. So it's a very strict sense in God, insofar as he is considered to be affected by another idea of a singular thing. So this is the special Spinozistic sense of in esse, or being in God, meaning depending on God, but not in an absolute sense. So it is not in God as another God, or as if we take the Christian concept of a Trinity in God, so it is not in God like another person in God, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So it is not in this absolute sense, but in the sense that that all ideas of any singular thing are in God, but only in the sense as they are affected mutually. So they affect each other mutually, and this is what this Proposition 28, the famous Proposition 28, expresses, that all the finite singular things affect each other, so are so as it is, because the other similarly finite things determine it to be and to exist. And this is what we can understand under this expression, to affect. So we have God. As you remember, Spinoza speaks about natura naturans and natura naturata, but I don't want to go into this direction. But it is what we have here, that God is the natura naturans, and the collection of finite things are the natura naturata, depending continually from God, and also being in God, not in an absolute sense, but in the sense of they mutually affecting each other, they mutually being causes and effects of each other. Yeah. Yes, and the other famous proposition, so it is from the beginning, as you see already in Proposition 25, we have the definition of the finite particular things as expressions of God, attributes. And then we have the Proposition 28, and the wording of this one of the last propositions of the ethics, Proposition 40, Part 5. The wording refers back again. So it is again a feedback, refers back to the beginning, because now he states about the eternal modes, not about the finite modes, but about the eternal modes, that they affect each other. Yes, our mind is an eternal mode of thinking, which is determined by another eternal mode of thinking, and this again by another, and so on to infinity. So the wording is the same as in proposition 28, part 1, where Spinoza talks about the finite modes. And so that is, of course, it is not easy to understand what Spinoza has in mind here. Probably he has in mind something like the indirect finite modes that he introduces in proposition 22 of part 1, but it is not, again, it is not necessary that we try to interpret now. So the main thing is that we again came back to the beginning on a higher level. Just a last point to underscore the understanding, the role of the understanding. As you know, it is the third mode of cognition. I don't want to go into this. Certainly, you remember it is the highest mode of cognition, even higher than reason, so this level, this highest level, can be reached by the understanding, and the understanding is the eternal part of our mind that constitute together with the other eternal parts of the minds, other minds, God's eternal and infinite intellect. And I just skipped this. The former slides. I come to the conclusion, concluding two or three slides, if I may. May I just have these two or three slides? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So this is what I would like to highlight as the main difference between Descartes' system, mechanical system, and Spinoza's background philosophy, mindset philosophy in the ethics, that in contradistinction to Descartes' mechanical model of a system, of a philosophical system, Spinoza's model is a Platonic one. So it's rather a Platonic model, and so that's why I suggest a sort of modification of the original table of contents, showing that the part 5 is also a part of God in the same way as the first is of God. So it is an enrichment of the metaphysic. So it is not a unilinear development like in Descartes from the metaphysics to the ethics, but it's a circular development from the metaphysics to the ethics, but the ethics is at the same time metaphysics on a higher, more speculative level than what we had in the first. In the first part, and then I summarize the Platonic character of this model. First, I say that it is a rather complex statement. So Platonic, I mean that God is a loving being in a non-Christian sense, in a non-Christian, that is pre-Christian sense. I would say that, of course, in Augustine and the church fathers of the first centuries, we have a sort of Christian Platonism. That is for sure. But I would maintain that Spinoza's God and the love of God in Spinoza's sense is not a Christianized Platonism, but is an original, so to speak, an original Platonism. Or the other version would be what I mentioned, the Jewish version of Platonism. So this would be another possible interpretation. The second is the if you remember, there is the famous metaphor of the sun in Plato's Republic. Yes, because the meaning of this analogy is that the good is like the sun, but meaning that that the good has itself has no being, or not the same kind of being than all the other things that participate in it have. So the idea of God is higher than the beings that participate in it, even higher than the ideas of the other ideas. So the idea of God is the highest, even among the ideas. And I don't want to go into the detail. So I think that Spinoza's God is similar as for its status. It's similar to the Platonic idea of the good. But of course, do not misunderstand me. So I don't want to say that for Spinoza, God is a good on some higher sense, like the highest good, God as the highest good in the Christian tradition, or in the Platonic tradition, the idea of good. So the Spinozistic God is not an ethical God, so not a moral God. Morality is in the sphere of the human being, of the finite human beings, not in the sphere of God on the level of the universe. And the third, this is what I think Plotinus, the Neoplatonic thinker, called the one. So Spinoza's God is again not far from this concept of Plotinus, which is above all the other beings, including the intellect, which has in Plotinus an important role to play, of course, and all the other Neoplatonic authors later in the history of European philosophy. And yeah, I can come back to the beginning now. The beginning, I emphasize the expression "follow" from God in Spinoza, and this is what we have in Plotinus: the emanation, the radiation. These are all synonyms of this expression, following from the nature of a thing. I mean, I could have showed you motivations for these statements, but I think it is time now to finish. So I thank you so much for your patience, and if you have questions, remarks, I'd be glad to have them, to hear them.